Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Hope everybody's having a good week. What is it? Today is the 24th of February and Thursday. So, hope everybody's doing good. Whenever you get a hold of this evening, tonight, whenever you watch it, don't forget to always like and share our videos, if you would. Always helps us to reach as many as we can. Also, while we're doing this, if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna put my email up there, and so that we can always take any kind of email, any kind of questions. You can send it to me. Good morning, brother man. Good morning. You can send me any questions or comments or whatever you got. Be more than happy to be able to respond. Make sure they're always good, um, if possible. But anyway, um, so also if you want to give, is opportunity to go in and give, and go into our Facebook. You can give to Tithely. But as y'all can see, who we got with me today in my office, and Matt Hobson is with me today.
Riding sidecar.
That's right. Riding sidecar, but we're glad he's hanging out with me this morning. Matt come down and hung out with us. Last night we went over in Shelbyville at Canvas Community, Shelbyville, with Pastor Caleb McCall. Went over there. They have revival nights, I think maybe once out of a month. I believe how they do it, but that they invited us to come over, and I went over and preached last night. I had a great time with them guys, and Pastor Caleb McCall's doing amazing things over there. Had a great baptism before the service, had an amazing worship, had a great word, and then had a wedding directly after. So one of the guys that got baptized got married last night. So man, it was awesome. It was an awesome night for them guys over there. I had a good time, and we had a team of people went with us. So, and Matt drove all the way down to come hang out with us. So glad that he did so. So anyway, here our Tithely as well. We'll show that again. Well, today, my title was different. I had some notes because I wasn't sure Matt was going to get to make it up here with me this morning. So, but let's focus on, since you're here, that we can focus on. We got a trip coming up.
We do.
And the dates are
April 1st through 8th.
So we want to
April 1 through 8.
April 1 through 8. So we want to let's talk about what that looks like kind of right now where we're at. I've got to raise enough money. So hey, if you want to give, hey, help me out. I need to get my ticket, and it's time.
So if you're wanting to help Chad or anybody go, if you want to sponsor somebody on the trip, it's $320 for the room and board. That covers all your food and your stay. Then plus whatever your airfare is, which last time I checked was like $700. So if somebody today would like to give $1,000, that would cover Chad to go for sure. That's 8 days in Honduras, April 1 through 8th. That's a Friday to Friday. We still have openings. We have 10 people right now going if you want to go. 2 people bringing their children for the first time, which is always fun. They're teenagers. It's a life-changing experience. And it'll be pretty much an open door of ministry. Anything you could possibly want to experience on a mission trip, from food packing to handing out food to praying for people to preaching if you want to preach. If you don't like preaching, you just want to work, there's 3 work projects we're going to be doing, either a roof or a floor in 3 different houses on this trip. And so we'll have 2 teams kind of split out. You're staying in a great place at a big compound that's gated. For a mission trip, you can't beat it because you have hot water. You have amazing food. They treat us like royalty while we're there. But then you go out from there every day to 2 villages. So you get the full experience of being in a third world country, but with a little bit of the comfort for home. So if you've never been on a mission trip, this is a good one to go on.
Yeah. Well, I think mission trips, first of all, I mean, I know the title, we've always used title mission trips, and really we take these trips. We don't, we have a lot of people that are legit missionaries. They live in it. They do it daily. We go spend 7 days over there to really encourage them, to bring a little life to these guys that live this every single day. Obviously they don't have 3 meals a day when we're not there, because we come and it affords them to do this.
Yeah.
But we go over initially, to feed people. That's a big deal, to go and preach. Not that we're any better preachers, because, they've got leadership down there in the camp and in the church that we are affiliated with. They're top-notch guys.
Yeah.
But us, we go to encourage them, to let them know that they are people that supports them and loves them. And it's tough when you live there every single day and you get up and do what they have to do every time. So to get some teams in, it helps them.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years has been tough, because really they go from 15 teams a year to 1.
Yeah.
Matt's the only one that's took some teams down there.
The last 2 years, as far as I know.
And that changes momentum when you're in a third world country, because you have to understand Honduras is now number 1 poverty country in the world.
80% unemployment.
Yep, 80%. That's, you have to understand how much they need this encouragement.
Yeah.
They need some people to come in and I don't know, just kind of let we got their back pretty much.
We care. Yeah. The way the pastor always explains it, and I love it, is he says that when he introduces our teams, he always says this is a group of Americans that could have spent their money to go on vacation. They could have stayed at home. They're taking time off work, time away from their family, to show the love of God to the people of Honduras in tangible ways. That always impacts me when he says that, when Louise introduces us, because you're talking about $5 down there feeds a family of 5 for a week.
Yeah.
So and they're not a I don't even know how you say it, but they're not asking for money. They're not asking for us to come and do something. They just want us to come and spend time with them, and like you said, just kind of encourage them. Well, and what's been funny to me over the years, and I've said it many, many, many times, is that I'll always take teams down there thinking we're going to change something about Honduras, but it's always the team that gets changed.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think for the most part, when you look at what they do down there, and they know that they're, it's not a secret they're the most poverty country. But I've always said about Honduras, and we've been to a lot of places, the Honduran people are so much different. They are, for the most part, obviously you go down in the city, it's different, but I'm saying for the community that's around them there, you would not think that they were poor.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very joyful.
They are happy. They're not beggars. They're so grateful. They're happy when we do give.
Yeah.
When the churches are leaving when the people are leaving the church after preaching, they know most time when we come, we bring food if it's possible, and we're going to pack out food. But man, they're just, what I'm saying? They're not, it's just a different atmosphere.
Well, that's a good point, because so if we back up, when they did have a lot of teams coming, say they had 13 teams, we were one of the only teams that ever brought money for food or projects. And so the people that are still there are walking, some of them 6 to 7 miles to come to a service, not expecting anything other than the God to show up.
Right.
That's what always blew my mind, because I always thought, well, of course they're coming because they have food. Then I found out we were the only team bringing food.
Right.
So you're talking about these people are bringing their kids and walking miles and miles and miles, and whatever the weather is that day.
Oh,
just
yeah,
because God showed up, and then
Yeah.
have to walk miles and miles and miles back. And
Yeah.
you're talking about us having events like conferences or something at his place. So they're walking in from the communities and then having to go back that late at night. It's mind blowing to me, the hunger and the expectancy they have that God's showing up. If I can just get to where the service is, God's going to show up. And
that's their attitude too, man. We've had some, you look back on the years. I mean, because I've been going to Honduras with you for 7 years now. 2015.
Yeah.
How many years is that? 2015. Yeah. 7 years.
6, 7 years.
Yeah. So unbelievable that we've had some amazing services and you get caught up in the service. You don't think about that, but at the end of service, all I have to do is walk through these gates and I get to go rest.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, these people won't get home for some of them 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's 9, 10 o'clock and they walking
up the mountain.
And some of these ladies, I mean, these ain't young chickens.
Yeah.
I mean, these ladies 70, 80 years old, but man, that's their nature, dude. They love the Lord, dude. It's so crazy.
Humbling to see it. I mean, it really does. And for me, it's so encouraging. I know I love it. I'm a missionary at heart for sure, but it encourages me so much because of their faith. Like that's what I was thinking about last night. Maybe we'll shift a little bit of our missionary talk and play off a verse I want to read to you. But if you didn't get a chance to watch Chad's message last night at Canvas, I could not go to sleep. I was staying at Donald and Cindy's last night. I just kept going.
Speaking of happy birthday, Donald Martin.
60th birthday.
Happy 60th. We love you, man.
It's a lot of fanny packs over 60 years.
That's for sure.
But Chad last night killed it at Canvas Church. So 2 things stuck out to me. He had a huge door, talked about opening the door to your heart. And then also had a broom and talked about just cleaning out the clutter. And I could not get it out of my mind last night of just getting rid of the old and letting the new come in. And I know we're talking about Honduras, but I had a verse I woke up with in my spirit I'd made notes about a few weeks ago that talks about that and ties into missions, because the people in Honduras, to me, show the amazing amount of hope and faith.
Yeah.
To not know anybody's coming and still walk 7 miles to a service.
That's right.
God's going to show up that day.
And before you read that, now, this is the biggest thing I get from people is that why would you spend the money to go down there when you could send the money to take care of them?
Yeah. Well, from their mouths, they have said it means more to us that an American would come down there and take time away from their family and show them. They almost view it as if God is showing up by the fact that we have such a comfortable lifestyle that we leave their American dream, right?
That's right.
To come to them, which is what God does. It's a demonstration. They tie it to the same spiritual analogy of Jesus leaving the throne to come to earth. Yeah. But an American that would leave the American dream to come to our third world country to encourage us and spend time with us, to them, that's a miraculous thing.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't bring food, even if you didn't preach a message, because we've had people just go and spend time there. That, from their own mouths, has said that's what means the most to them.
Yes.
And so, and nobody's doing it. That's another reason. No one is going.
Nobody's going.
And we're not the only ones. I mean, I'm definitely not above anybody else. But as far as Honduras right now, and that's connected to this pastor, there is no other teams going.
Right.
And so I just feel like if you've got the ability to go or give, you've got to do one of those. Like the Great Commission is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Go into all the world, right, and make disciples. Right. And so you've got 2 choices. Maybe you can't go, but you could give. Maybe you can't give, but you could pray. But you've got to be involved somehow in that process. Yeah. Or it's just, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just not healthy. It's not healthy at all. But the verse you have,
so I woke up with this verse on my mind this morning after Chad's message. So please go back and watch that message. I know you posted it on Break Free, but it's in Romans 4:18-21. It says, against all hope, Abraham believed in hope, with the result that he became the father of many nations. According to the pronouncement, so will be your descendants. Without being weak in faith, he considered his own body as dead, because he was 100 years old when Sarah had a baby. He did not waver in his unbelief about the promise that God had strengthened in his faith, giving glory to God. He was fully convinced of what God promised, and he was able to do. So indeed, it was credited to Abraham as righteousness. Against all hope, he believed, never wavered in his faith, fully convinced. God promised him, and it happened exactly what he had said. And I was thinking about Chad's message last night. It got me remembering that verse. I know in my own personal life, I've got 3 people in my family that committed suicide. And one of them murdered his wife before he committed suicide. All of them either had some kind of depression, anxiety, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. And in the town we lived in, my dad was the chief of police and then went on the sheriff's department. It's very well known when he committed suicide. It was all over the papers. And I remember the conversations and the whispers of, well, there's no hope for the rest of their boys.
Wow.
He's going to be just like his daddy.
Wow.
I've heard that so many times over the years. He's going to be just like your daddy.
That's right.
And when I fast forward and think about it, my brother, my sister, my dad, all, when I don't know what they were thinking, but I know this. I know they did not believe what God said about them.
That's unbelievable.
Because there's no way possible that it wouldn't have changed them.
Yeah.
Because I can remember I started believing it. Whatever you believe, you become.
That's it.
I started believing I'm just going to be like my dad. Mm-hmm. So I started becoming like my dad, really hard, no feelings, didn't care how I hurt people. I started becoming like my brother, and having all that anxiety and depression. And I started becoming like my sister and drinking and doing whatever I thought. Started having sex before marriage and, breaking all my relationships apart. And I started becoming exactly what I believed everybody was saying about
That's right.
me. But there was one person, and it was my mother. And she said, this is not what God has for you.
Unbelievable.
She said, you've got a hope and a future. And if you would just believe, Matthew, how much he loved you, it would change everything.
Wow.
And just like Abraham, I believed that word hope. And it changed everything. You're talking about, I came out of addiction. I came out of divorce. I came out of broken marriage. I came out of no relationship with my family, my daughter. And God turned everything around just by a word of hope.
Wow.
Believing what God said about you.
Yeah.
The only difference between me and my 3 family members that are dead is I believed that word of hope. And because I believed it, not because of anything I did, I just had to believe it. God said, I'll give you the credit on your righteousness for that.
Wow.
And I'll turn everything around and I'll restore what you lost. Chad and I were talking about this morning. I'm talking to my daughter that I hadn't had a relationship with in 20 years. Almost every day now on Facebook. I mean, just ridiculous things that God's doing of opening doors of ministry for me and my wife. And the possibilities are just endless. But all because I just believed what God said about me.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. What you believe is what you become. But most of us believe we're weak. We can't do it. We're a failure. Our marriages are not going to work. I'm going to be just like this. This job's not going to work out.
Yeah.
We're not believing that word of hope.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 years old, you're going to have a baby and it's going to be and he grabbed a hold of that. And these are the highlights. And that's what I'm giving you. People always say to me, Matt, your life is amazing. You're married to a hot wife, which I am. Like, been married for 20 years.
That's
like,
right.
You've outkicked your coverage, all these kind of comments. God has just showed you favor and blessings and all this. These are just highlights like you're watching a football reel.
That's right.
And that's what you get from Abraham. Like, he believed a word of hope and God gave it his righteousness and he became a father of many nations. What you don't see is Abraham was a liar.
That's right.
He lied all the time about his wife,
About
saying
his
it
wife.
was his sister. I mean,
That's right.
but God, at some point in those verses in Romans, takes him outside and makes him look up and says, do you believe it?
Man.
And in the moment he believed it, that's what he became.
Yeah.
It's just what you believe.
Well, and I think everybody, the thing about that is that your story is quite different, obviously, than a lot of people's story. Now, everybody has a story, but the greater part of that, everybody has an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we don't grab that opportunity when God does present that. You could have looked at your mom and been like, Mom, you're crazy. you know what I'm saying, and went on, but you grabbed what she said. You had that opportunity to change all that generational curse that was on you. And I think many people surrender to that generational curse. And I remember the day that my wife was leaving with Kevin Lane. Kevin Lane was about April, May, June, 2 months old. And they were leaving to go to church. And I remember standing in front of a mirror in a half bathroom, and I heard, and I didn't know who the Lord was. I never had encountered him to the point of surrendering my life to him. But I heard his voice tell me that day, he says, if you'll go with them, I'll break the curse off your son. And I thought, I grabbed that and I responded that quick. And I really believe that day, that night, that's when I surrendered to the Lord. But most importantly, he broke that curse off of my son and my daughter that night. Because my son's completely different than I am. He's never had my terrible attitude, my terrible behavior. And the Lord showed favor because I grabbed a hold of that one thing. And I've always been told you can't hear the Lord till you say the Lord's Prayer. That's such bull crap, because that was the same voice I heard in vehicles I should have died in. Mm-hmm. But I think everybody has an opportunity, like you did that day, to respond to your mom when that voice, you could have grabbed, you grabbed a hold of it, but what you could have done was refuse it.
Yep.
And I think so many people refuse because they can't see beyond where they're at. And I used to tell my sister when she was a young teenager, I used to say, Amber, you have to get out of this poverty mentality if you're ever going to break this cycle. And look, I want to encourage you today. Listen, you have to begin to think beyond where you're at and see greater for yourself. If Matt hadn't have grabbed that and grabbed a hold of hope and seen himself doing better, seen himself of moving and processing greater, he would have still been there, and most likely you would have been dead by now.
Ended up the same way for sure. Yeah. I mean, I was on a run there. I mean, I was telling you this morning, I mean, 21 years old, dad commits suicide, find out I got a girl pregnant. She's telling me she's going to have an abortion if we don't get married, move away from my family. Just like Abraham, if you go back through this story, ran away, went to a land I didn't know. We moved to Florida. I mean, it was hope and hope against hope. And over the years, people have said, like, I don't even understand what that means. How do you have hope against hope? Well, that's resistance.
Yeah.
Hope, anything worthwhile is always with you pushing against some kind of resistance.
Yes.
And I decided, because we talked about it this morning, being a young guy, I was 21, lived at home. I didn't know what to do. I immediately had to get a job. I had to find a house. I started having to push against that resistance, but it was a decision you made. God says you got a decision. It's life or death. You get to choose. And that's not just a one-time thing. You can choose that every day. I can wake up today and choose my words are going to have life. They're going to have death. My actions are going to have life. They're going to have death. You get that choice. And for whatever reason, the Lord graced me with the ability at that time to choose the right thing, to choose to put forward that little bit of effort that changed everything. And I remember back when I was fighting in MMA days, people would say, man, you're making this look easy. Because by the way, I was really good. I never went out of the first round. Always ended the fights either a submission or a knockout. And so people would say, man, you make this look easy. Well, just like Abraham and just like the highlight reel of my life now, those were just the highlights.
That's right.
What you didn't see was me working a full-time job and leading a full-time ministry and get up at 4:00 in the morning to go train at the gym.
That's
and
crazy,
get off and work all day and come home and then go train at the gym and then go do my ministry. And you didn't see all those hours put in. All you saw was the highlight reel.
Right.
And what we tend to do is judge people off the highlight reel.
That's exactly right.
And what I heard yesterday was T.D. Jakes and Steve McFurtick were in an interview. And he said the problem we have when we compare ourselves with other people is that we're not starting at the same place.
That's so good too.
I
That's
don't
true.
have your finances, your family, your ability, your history, your past, your current situation. So me comparing myself against anybody is unfair because we're not starting at the same place.
Wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may not be starting with a history of suicide and depression and addiction, but you may be starting with, XYZ. But the point is that word of hope is for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Like, there is a word of hope over your life, over your family, over your situation. And you may have never thought it would be possible to come out of it.
Yeah.
But if you would believe that word of hope, what could change? That's what blows my mind. I never understand. If you don't do anything, maybe nothing changes. But what if?
Yeah.
What if we just believe?
That makes me think of this. I wrote this down.
Henry Ford says, if you always do what you've done, you'll always get what you've got.
That's insanity by Einstein, right? Doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
And this was from Henry Ford that wrote that. And that's coming. Listen what he does. That's coming from a man that would fire or lay off 10% of the people that worked at the Ford company that was on the low or the bottom of his company every year that didn't try to excel and push forward. He would lay them off or fire them. 10% of them that didn't try to move up in his company. He said, look, you're not benefiting my company by just being comfortable at just coming in and clocking. And he wanted somebody that's going to excel. That's why the scripture says a man without a vision would perish.
Yeah.
And Henry Ford thought, if you don't have a vision for yourself, you're not going to have a vision for my company. So I don't see, hey, you could be doing a great job.
Yeah.
You can come in every day and work good. But if you're not trying to excel, he's saying, I don't need you.
Yeah. And it's unfair by churches to put pressure on people that are not ready to change yet. Like we try to manufacture, you said it last night, we put people in positions they're not supposed to be in, and we fill spots just so it would make us more comfortable and to figure it out. But the Bible is clear. So take churches and people out of it. Examine yourselves.
That's it.
And see if you're in the faith.
Right.
Like my only responsibility is to look and see, am I living a life of faith?
That's right.
Am I believing in that word of hope that's spoken over me?
That's right.
And I have great empathy and compassion for those that don't even understand what that means. Because when you get in a hopeless situation, that's when people commit suicide. They have no hope.
They don't
Nothing
feel like
can
they
get
do.
better.
That's right.
So I have a great empathy and compassion for those people because I've been in those situations. I've been sitting in a tree stand thinking, if I just throw myself out of here and kill myself, would it really matter? But at some point, you got to search within yourself.
Sure.
And you've got to take hold of that for yourself.
Yes.
Nobody else can do it.
Right.
It's almost like an addict. You can't be free until you want to be free.
That's right.
But if you would ever give a chance, that's what God, God's not telling you in Malachi to test him about money. Mm-hmm. He's talking about test me about my faithfulness.
Faith. That's right.
If you would test me,
see if I'm faithful,
and grab a hold of that word of hope, I'll show you. I'll turn it all around.
That's right.
And if we would
I'll open up the window.
Yeah, and if you just believe it enough to grab hold of it, that enough is that alone is enough to shift everything.
Well, that's why I started last night, because Pastor Caleb's his Wednesday nights themes are revival, and if I go with the mindset that we're going to bring revival to a building or a group, there's one or two I'm leaving out of that.
Yeah.
So revival has to be individually. Mm-hmm. And I think if the ecclesia could get back to that, that if we could have and I say things and I don't mean disrespect. Well, I don't really care how people look at it. It's not, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I said, look, we don't need somebody with a big ministry, been on TBN, because I believe if we get a hold of what revival is individually, then corporately we come together. You don't need nobody because the glory comes in. And if it becomes about one person, then it never counts about the entirety of the ecclesia.
Yeah.
But if the ecclesia individually has revival and we come together, there's the glory. You don't need nobody to do anything.
Yeah.
And I think for what you're saying, if you can get individually, get a hope, and get this in you and get this stirring in you, it changes everything. It just not only changes you, but it changes your household. It changes your children. It changes your workplace. It changes everywhere you go. It changes everything.
And I'm not saying it changes overnight. I've got a guy right now I talked to on the way up here. His hope was today he'll just make it through the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't have to be God's going to give you some great ministry, or you're going to do some, where he's going to pay your house off, or he's going to do all these kind of things. It could just be tomorrow I want to wake up and make it through the day without fighting with my wife.
That's right.
I mean, just you just got to start grabbing hold of them small pieces of hope. And it's like a garden. The more seeds you plant, the more fruit comes up out of it. That's sowing and reaping principle.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali, I posted this quote today from him on our Nature's Pace page. Your service to others is your rent due in the world. And what we've done is we've looked for the church to meet all of our needs. And like you're saying about the ecclesia, we haven't served each other enough. I found out on this coming Honduras trip, this first time since 2011, we haven't had a big church sponsor helping us with the funds.
Wow.
So all the fundraising's falling on me and people that are going on the trip. But the outpouring of people that are giving and supporting, I have no doubt. I have complete faith that it's going to be everything we need.
Right.
But this is the first trip that's good. But I could have said, wow, well, we're not going to be able to go.
Right.
We got to cancel the whole thing. We can't take any money.
Right.
I could have just wiped it all out. But I chose to believe in hope, in faith. Hey, this is going to work, right? I posted it on my Facebook. I have 1.4 Facebook friends. I don't know if that's good or bad. But if everybody gave $5, it would well exceed what we needed for the whole trip. I mean, so good. When you look at the little bit of amount of things, Mother Teresa said, nobody can do great things. We can only do small things with great love.
That's exactly right.
So if everybody just did a little bit,
it makes a difference.
The ecclesia, they came together, and just believe that, hey, if we just do our part, God will do his part.
Yep. He's good at multiplying.
Yeah, I mean, what could happen?
Well, that's what I say to people, and I understand as a leadership, as I don't like titles for one. I just say us as a leadership in this tribe of people, and that you have people who says, look, you don't call, you didn't, nobody called me. I was, maybe I'm at home, and my response is, I understand that, but you didn't call me. I mean, if I pour out and pour out and pour out and pour out and pour out, what about somebody pouring in? And I don't mean that meanly, but I say that because I hope that it triggers in people that, listen, sometimes you need to do something.
Yeah.
I didn't. Maybe somebody didn't call you. Somebody didn't reach out to you. But when's the last time you did? When's the last time you reached out? When's the last time that you sowed into somebody? When's the last time that you gave into somebody? Listen, as quick as I can pick up a phone and call somebody, when's the last time you picked up the phone and called somebody? And that's what my response is. A lot of people, we had that conversation with a guy. Said, man, nobody calls me. And I'm like, you didn't call me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need a call of encouragement. Sometimes he needs a call.
Yeah.
Listen, that call brings hope. And
a lot of times those people that are complaining about that are in the wrong spot. Just like you were saying last night with Caleb. Maybe because you're not getting a call and because you're not calling anybody is you're not in the right spot. You're not with your tribe. But what you've done is you found a place that's comfortable, that meets your needs, and you're hiding out and not really doing anything.
Yeah.
Holly, my wife, posted this morning, and I really believe this is a word from the Lord. She said, thank you, Holy Spirit, for this season of revealing those who are for us and who are against us. We choose not to be upset when you show us this truth. Continue to reveal the motivations and intentions of all of our hearts and make us more aware and knit us together with those who are growing and changing and rising up alongside of us. what we do is we get in a habit of this comfortability
Yeah.
where we'll tolerate things because we don't want to make a change.
Right.
But we know God is calling us to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, calling us to serve more or do more or go somewhere else or do. When you stay longer than the grace that God's given you
Wow.
on somewhere, it wrecks
That's
everybody.
strong. That's pretty strong.
It doesn't just
Yeah.
hurt you; it hurts everybody
Yeah.
around you. And we've done it. This is from personal experience.
Yeah. We all done that.
I've stayed way too long when I knew God told me it was time to go do something else.
Yeah.
And it made me miserable, and it makes everyone else miserable around you.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get off track with that whole rabbit trail.
Yeah.
I want to go back because I really believe and felt like when I woke up this morning, somebody that's going to watch today just needs a word of hope.
Man.
Like there is hope available. Like it's going to get better.
Yeah.
I picked up a homeless guy. Well, you and I were joking about the meth head here last time, but I picked up this homeless guy and he said, I just don't know why God is so far away from me. He's just not doing anything for me. Like he's not helping me at all. And I'm like, are you crazy? And he said, what do you mean? I'm like, well, your ass was walking 5 minutes ago down the highway.
Now
You're sitting in my truck in the
right.
heat, and I'm taking you where you need to go. You don't think God just showed up?
That's exactly right.
And he's like, man, I never thought of that way. But that's the way we have to think of it.
Yeah.
Our life is lived by moment to moment.
That's right.
From glory to glory. It's just what if I can just get to the next moment. Right? Elijah, the widow, if I can just get to the water, if I can just have some oil, it's just moment to moment. But but like my dad, my sister, my brother, if you check out before you just get to that next moment,
exactly right.
What are you abandoning? What hope are you abandoning that could have happened? What could your life be like? If you just grab that word of hope and believe it and pull it in, what could God change?
So what if, just what by the end of the day tomorrow, because this usually it'll stay up. People grabs it when they get off work, or somebody just surfing through and grabs it and sees it. Because the title I put out there is Joy. Just what if somebody's at the brink? You know what? They're really contemplating suicide. They're really saying, listen, it's over me. Or maybe somebody's just saying, I'm giving up. I'm leaving. I'm going to go. I'm leaving everything. I'm just going to quit. I'm going to throw in the towel per se. What would you say to them at this brink? I mean, it's almost like a negotiation with them. What would you say to them at that point, at where they would be at right now?
I would just say, wait another moment.
Yeah.
Wait another moment.
Wow.
Call me. My
Yeah.
phone number is 205-266-0578. Call me.
Wow.
And let me share with you, if you could just make it another day, what could be possible.
Wow.
It's never as bad as you think it is, right?
Yeah.
It seems that way for sure, especially when it's all caving in. And I've been in those places.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never as bad as we think it is. So if you could just find that one voice, that could say something opposite of what the enemy, because that's the enemy telling you it's not going to get any better. Like nobody cares. I'm going to take you out. He wants you to believe that. He wants you to isolate yourself so he can attack you. That's what you do with somebody that's weak and isolate. But if you could have that one voice that could say, hey, tomorrow might be better.
Wow. Yeah.
What if
tomorrow's
different?
Yeah.
And I know that's hard, but if you could just make it another moment.
Because it seems so far.
Yeah, just wait it out another moment. And I know that's stereotypical of, just live day by day and, God give me the serenity to make. I understand all of that seems like BS when you're in that moment.
Yeah.
But me personally, if I would have given up before that next moment,
wow,
what would have happened?
What would the outlook like?
We definitely wouldn't have preached all over the world. Who knows what all would have happened? My family would have been destroyed. I mean, we never think about the decision we make, how it affects everyone around us.
Yeah.
This is not just your decision.
Well, we don't.
And you shouldn't be doing it alone either.
Right. You don't think about what God has for you in the future.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been able to accomplish all that you've got to accomplish if you'd have said, I'm giving up.
Yeah.
I'm quitting. and you wouldn't have been able to accomplish all these things and see now impacted, man. You're able to impact the world.
Yeah.
And same goes with a lot of people, I think, that gets on the brink of saying, I just can't do it no more. If there's a good friend of mine, he's a pastor, that he made a decision to, kill himself. And I think about if he hadn't have done that, I mean, just to see now the church that he was pastoring, to seeing what they're doing, the growth there, and all the things that he could have been enjoying this, you know what I'm saying? And enjoying what God was doing. And we often don't think about
people
that.
to think I've got it all together. I still wake up on days and think, man,
Well, I think everybody
it
does.
might be easier just to check out of this thing.
Sure.
But I also wake up on days and play the song Glorious, which says, wow, I got a chance to start again.
That's right.
I made it through my darkest, night.
Yeah.
Every day, God's mercy is new every day.
That's it.
And man, there's some days I blow it. I scream at my wife. We get in a fight. I feel like I failed at ministry. I feel like I failed at life. I've not done anything. I failed at myself, my eating habits. I've done too much. I've sinned too much. I mean, it all caves in on you. But then I wake up and think, man, today's a new day. And that's the word of hope. And that's not from just grabbing it one time. That's having to grab it all the time.
That's right.
Like that word of hope, I've got to get that all the time. I mean, when my life is falling apart, I've got to grab a hold of that and know tomorrow's a new day.
That's right.
Tomorrow I could get new mercy. Tomorrow I could get new forgiveness. Tomorrow everything could be better. Like if I could just make it till tomorrow.
That's it.
And so some of those times, I mean, you and I talk to a guy, you know who it is, who I asked him, how you doing at work today? And he said, I'm walking around looking for a board that would hold my weight so I can hang myself. But I'm going to give it another day.
That's right.
I'm going to give it another day. It's just every day.
And I talked to him the other day. He said, well, I didn't shoot myself.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a success for some people.
It is.
Just make it another day.
Yeah.
Just give it a little more time.
Yeah.
Just see what God can do. I mean,
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah, I think that's why the scriptures, man, says, don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah. It's got enough trouble.
Yeah. Just focus on today. And I think some of you, I just want to tell you that, first of all, listen, you can't change yesterday. If we could go back and change what we said or did yesterday, we all would do it.
Yeah.
And the truth of it would be is that we would all stay there trying to change it. Most of the time, our minds do. Mm-hmm. Although I'm living in today, I'm staying in the past because the past has created hopelessness in me today. I want to encourage you to let the past go. Yeah. We cannot change those things. Listen, if you've screwed up as a husband, you can't change yesterday. If you've screwed up as a wife, you cannot change that. If you've screwed up as a mother or a father, if you've screwed up as a businessman, if you've lost everything that you have, you can't go back and change that. Today is a new day. And listen, the greater part of who we are, we can't even really worry about tomorrow. So if we could focus on right now, that's why he says your steps has been ordered by the Lord. He didn't say your days, and he didn't say your months. Your steps has been ordered by the Lord. And I think if you'll get a hold of that your steps has been ordered, it's your next step.
Yeah.
It's your one foot in front of the other. And listen, and grab a hold of hope. They are a future for me.
Yeah.
There is a future for my family. It's there. I'm going to grab a hold of it. There is, although I may have lost everything, although even maybe some of you've lost your whole family. Maybe you're divorced. Maybe you're looking at you have nothing, but there's still you grab something a hold of, and it's going to pull you forward.
Yeah, he says, "My lamp is a light unto your feet." Right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever carried a lamp. We have in Africa and other places. Yep. It only shows you the very next step. It doesn't show you down the whole path.
That's right.
You can just get to that next step.
That's the truth.
Just wait for the next step.
It's amazing. Well, listen, I love you guys. I'm gonna get Matt to pray before we head off. But listen, Honduras trip, April 1 through the 8th. You want to support that? Let me know. Send me an email. I got my email up. Send me an email. Tell me you want to help. Tell me support. How much ever. Doesn't matter what it is. we need help heading out on this
And we
trip.
need it pretty quickly because airfare keeps going up.
Yeah.
So if you want to sponsor Chad to go or anybody to go or
Yeah.
contribute to the trip, please let us know because we need to get his airfare booked.
Remember, like, share our videos, tag somebody that may need to hear this hope today, and so they'll get a hold of it. Listen, I want you to pray for somebody today that
Okay.
needs that hope today.
All right. Well, Father God, first we just thank you that we have the ability to reach out and take hold of your words. Thank you for speaking to us. And I just pray that today. I pray the person listening today that has just lost all hope and don't even know what to do, that your Holy Spirit right now is just coming inside their chaos and just speaking clearly to their heart, opening that door of hope, like Chad talked about last night, God, cleaning out the clutter, letting them know that tomorrow could be better. God, just shower them with your mercy. Your mercy's new every day. Our sin doesn't separate us from you. You still showed up in the garden when Adam and Eve blew it. You still wanted to walk with us and talk with us. And so, God, I just ask you to remove the shame of our past, remove the guilt, remove all the feelings that we have, take the emotions out of it, and let your Holy Spirit speak clear that if we'll just take hold of that word of hope, you could change everything. And so, God, we just release hope over everybody listening today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hey, guys, love you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing day, amazing weekend. We get to get also dental day is Saturday. Don't want to forget about that. We got dental day here starting Saturday morning. So can't wait for that. Also, we'll see you Sunday morning. Love you guys. Be blessed. Have a good rest of